All right, so get this. Today we're diving into ancient Babylon.
A city so rich, it's almost unbelievable.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, Wall Street would be jealous.
And here's the crazy part.
What's that?
This financial powerhouse was smack dab in the middle of a desert.
You're kidding. A barren desert.
Yep, no lush fields, no rivers overflowing with, resources.
Okay, now that's a head scratcher. How did they pull that off?
Well, that's the paradox that The Richest Man in Babylon tackles.
Oh, I've heard of that book.
It's a classic for a reason.
So we have a summary of it.
A really detailed one, actually.
Awesome. So today's mission is...
to crack the code of Babylonian wealth building, unlock those ancient secrets.
Sounds like a plan. I'm in.
Perfect. Because these principles, they're timeless. Really.
Do you think those ancient ideas can still help us today?
I absolutely do. Especially with all the resources we have now.
You've got a point. Okay, I'm intrigued.
Good. Now, the book does something really clever. It frames these financial principles through stories, like really engaging ones.
Oh, I like that. Much better than just a dry lecture on finance.
Way more fun. And it all starts with this character, Bansir.
Bansir.
Tell me about him.
He's a chariot maker. Hardworking, skilled.
Sounds like a successful guy.
You'd think so, right? But he's constantly broke. Struggling.
Ah, I feel that. The struggle is real, even in the 21st century.
Tell me about it. So Bansir, he's not alone on this. He's got a friend, Kabi.
Kabi? And is he also struggling?
Big time. So they both realize something's got to change.
Makes sense. So what do?
They go on a quest to find financial wisdom.
A financial quest? Love it. Where does it lead them?
To the richest man in Babylon, of course.
Of course. Who is this financial guru?
His name is Arkad, and his story, it's pretty inspiring.
Really? Fill me in.
So Arkad, he starts out as just a humble scribe, writing stuff down.
Okay, so not exactly born with a silver spoon.
Nope. But he follows these specific principles, and boom, he becomes a wealthy businessman. So it's not like some overnight get-rich-quick thing.
No way. This is about building lasting wealth. A system.
Ooh, okay, now I'm really interested. So what's the first secret Arkad reveals?
The foundation of his whole system. It's actually pretty simple.
Oh, do tell.
Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. What does that even mean?
It means before you spend a single penny, you put aside 10% of your income. Just for you.
10%? Wow. That seems like a lot, especially when there are so many bills to pay.
It is a significant chunk, but that's where the second principle comes in.
Okay, what's number 2?
Control your expenses.
Easier said than done, right?
Right. But the Babylonians, they were masters of this. They knew how to separate needs from wants.
So it's all about being mindful about spending, not just saving.
Exactly. In today's world, that means budgeting, resisting those impulse buys,
So making that 10% feel less like a sacrifice and more like an investment.
Exactly. You're building a strong financial foundation.
Right, you wouldn't build a house on shaky ground. So we're saving, we're spending wisely. What's next?
Now it's time to make your money work for you.
Okay, so no more stuffing cash under the mattress.
Exactly. This is about investing wisely, multiplying your wealth.
Okay, invest wisely is pretty broad. What did they do back in ancient Babylon? Did they have stocks and bonds?
Not exactly, but they had their own versions.
Like what?
They invested in businesses, real estate, even lending money for a profit.
Sounds familiar. Those concepts still hold true today.
Absolutely. Just the mechanisms have changed.
So invest wisely is still the key.
Got it.
It's not about just throwing money at any opportunity that comes along.
Exactly. You've got to manage risk, seek expert advice.
Right. Avoid those get-rich-quick schemes. Speaking of experts, who else does the book introduce?
Oh, there's this fascinating character, Mathon. He's a gold lender.
Oh, gold lender. I bet he has some stories about risky investments.
Oh, you bet. Mathon, he really stresses the importance of securing loans, avoiding those get-rich-quick schemes.
And finding a good financial mentor, someone who really knows their stuff.
Exactly. It's not just about making money. It's about protecting what you've earned.
Makes sense. So what else did Mathon emphasize?
Actually, he echoes one of Arkad's key principles, own your home.
Owning a home. Really? Even back then?
Even back then, they saw real estate as this valuable asset.
It's amazing how some financial wisdom just never gets old. Owning a home is still considered a major step towards financial security.
It really is. And you know what else is interesting?
What's that?
The Richest Man in Babylon. It doesn't just focus on the numbers, the practical side.
What else is there?
It weaves in these really powerful stories about the human side of money. the emotional side.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Well, there's this one story about a spear maker named Rodan.
Rodan, the spear maker.
Yeah.
Okay, what about him?
So he receives this huge reward from the king, 50 gold coins.
Wow, 50 gold coins. That's like winning the lottery.
Right. He's totally overwhelmed by this sudden wealth. So he goes to Manthon for advice.
50 gold coins. I'd probably be tempted to splurge too. What did Mathon tell him to do? 50 gold coins. I'd probably be tempted to splurge too. What did Mathon tell him to do?
Well, instead of giving direct financial advice, Mathon tells him this parable about an ox and a donkey.
An ox and a donkey. Interesting.
So the ox, he's complaining, right, about how hard he has to work. And the donkey, he's like, oh, I can help. I'll take on your burden tomorrow.
I have a feeling this isn't going to end well for the donkey.
You got it. The ox, he sees his chance to slack off, so he pretends to be sick. The donkey ends up doing all the work. And the ox, he's just chilling.
Oh, that's sneaky. So what's the lesson here? Don't be a donkey.
Well, it's more about being careful who you help, especially when it comes to money.
Right. There's a difference between being generous and being taken advantage of.
Exactly. Manthon's parable, it's a reminder. Helping others, it's a good thing, but not if it puts your own financial stability at risk.
So it's about finding that balance, supporting others without jeopardizing your own financial goals.
You got it. And speaking of financial ups and downs, there's another story in the book that really struck me.
Oh, which one?
The story of Dabasur.
Dabasur. Okay, remind me. He's the guy who goes from riches to rags, right? And then back again.
Exactly. His story is wild. I mean, talk about a roller coaster ride.
So how did he lose everything? But he ended up a slave, wasn't it? In Syria.
Yeah, Syria. So Dabasur, even though he was wealthy, he made some bad choices, got into debt, and eventually he lost it all.
Ouch. That's got to be rough.
Yeah, he had to work off his debts as a slave. But here's the thing.
What's that?
His story, it's not really a tragedy. It's more like a comeback story. Because even as a slave, he never gave up.
He was resilient?
Exactly. He used those same Babylonian principles to climb back up.
So even when he was in a completely different situation, those principles still worked for him?
Absolutely. They gave him a framework. He started saving little by little, managing his expenses, and eventually he earned his freedom.
Wow. That's really inspiring. Even when it seems like all hope is lost, there's always a way back.
Right. It's like financial literacy is a superpower. It can help you overcome any obstacle.
No matter where you are in life.
Exactly. And Dabasur's story, it also highlights another important principle.
Oh, which one is that?
Continuously improve your skills.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
I mean, Dabasur, even as a slave, he was always looking for ways to learn new things, improve his abilities.
He knew that his skills were his most valuable asset, like an investment in himself.
Exactly. The more you learn, the more you can earn, right? It's about creating opportunities for yourself.
Especially in today's world, things are changing so fast, you've got to be adaptable.
So true. Speaking of adaptability and seizing opportunities, the richest man in Babylon tells another great story about a guy named Shironada.
Shironada.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one who starts as a slave and becomes like a super successful merchant, right?
A prince of merchants. His story is all about ambition, hard work, never giving up.
So what's the key takeaway from his story?
Shironada's journey, it shows us that your starting point in life doesn't define you.
It's about having a goal, a vision, and then working like crazy to achieve it.
Exactly. It's like a true embodiment of the Babylonian principles. It's not just about money. It's about taking control of your destiny.
Creating a life you can be proud of. It's pretty inspiring stuff. But I have to admit, I keep thinking about the bigger picture here.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, these principles, they're great for individuals, but could they be applied to, society as a whole?
Now that's a fascinating question. What if we could use these Babylonian ideas to solve some of the economic problems we face today?
Exactly. Could we create a new Babylon? A world where everyone is financially secure?
It might sound idealistic, but it's worth exploring, right?
Definitely. I mean, the principles themselves, they're timeless. It's just a matter of figuring out how to apply them on a larger scale.
That's the challenge, for sure. But even starting the conversation is a step in the right direction.
I agree. It's like we're looking at the blueprints of this well-designed city, and now we have to figure out how to build it in the real world.
Exactly. And it all starts with understanding those core principles, recognizing their potential. Take, for example, the principle of pay yourself first.
Okay, so how would that work on a societal level?
What if governments adopted a similar approach? Instead of just spending, they prioritized investments in education, infrastructure, sustainable development.
It's like thinking long-term instead of just trying to fix things in the moment.
Right. That's what the Babylonians were all about. They understood that real wealth, it's built over time through consistent effort, wise investments.
Like planting seeds for the future. It might take a while to see the results, but eventually you'll have a bountiful harvest.
Exactly. And then there's the principle of control your expenses.
How would that translate to society as a whole? It's not like we can just create a national budget and stick to it.
Well, maybe we can. Think about it. Responsible resource allocation. Making sure our collective spending aligns with our values, our long-term goals.
It's about prioritizing the things that really matter. Education, healthcare, clean energy, and cutting back on the stuff that's just wasteful.
Exactly. And then there's the principle of make your money work for you.
So instead of just spending money, we invest it in things that benefit everyone.
Right. Initiatives that create jobs, stimulate economic growth, foster innovation.
Like a positive feedback loop. Prosperity for all.
It's exciting to think about, isn't it? Taking these ancient ideas and using them to create a better future.
Absolutely. It's like we're standing on the shoulders of giants, learning from the best. But, okay, let's bring it back down to earth for a minute. We've covered a lot today.
We have.
Can we just recap those core principles one more time? Make sure our listeners have those key takeaways.
Definitely. Let's go back to the basics, those foundational principles that can empower each of us to take control of our finances, build more secure future.
All right, let's refresh those Babylonian money secrets, the ones that can, help us build our own financial empires.
Sounds good. So, principle number 1, remember?
Pay yourself first.
That's the one. Before anything else, set aside at least 10% of your income.
Just for you, like a financial safety net.
Exactly. It's about prioritizing your future self.
It's like taking care of your future before you even know what it looks like.
Exactly. And then to make that saving easier.
We've got to control those expenses.
Right. The Babylonians, they were really good at separating needs from wants.
Needs versus wants, yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Especially today, there are so many things tempting us to spend.
It's true. So create a budget, track your expenses, and figure out where you can cut back a little.
Without, sacrificing your happiness.
Exactly. Once you've got that spending under control, then comes the fun part.
Ooh, the fun part. You mean making our money work for us?
That's it. Investing.
So how do we do that wisely? Any tips from ancient Babylon?
Well, explore your options. Stocks, bonds, real estate, even starting your own business.
Wow, so many possibilities.
Right. Diversify your investments, get advice from experts, and remember, patience is key.
Right. Building wealth, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And speaking of protecting your wealth.
That's another important principle, right? Protect your wealth.
Absolutely. Insure yourself against losses. Avoid those risky, too good to be true schemes.
Yeah, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Right. And don't forget another key principle, owning your own home.
Ah, yes. Own your home. Even the Babylonians knew that was important.
It provides stability, a sense of security. Plus, you can even rent it out for some extra income.
Then lastly, a principle that's super relevant today, continuously improve your skills.
Never stop learning. The more you know, the more valuable you are, and the more opportunities will come knocking.
So we've got these amazing principles. They've helped people for centuries. But I can't help but wonder, could they work on a bigger scale?
What do you mean?
Like, could these Babylonian principles help us create a better future? Not just for individuals, but for everyone.
That's a big question. But imagine if we could apply these ideas to, governments, institutions, and even whole communities.
A new Babylon, right, where everyone has the knowledge and the tools to thrive financially.
Exactly. It might seem like a dream, but even if more people start embracing these principles.
Yeah, it could create a ripple effect. More financial responsibility, better decisions.
Maybe even influence how our society thinks about money.
It's a world worth fighting for, right?
Definitely. And while the challenges are huge, these principles, they give us a place to start.
It all starts with us, taking control of our own finances, learning from the wisdom of the past.
And remember, building wealth, it's a journey. It's about patience, consistency, and never giving up on your goals.
Well said. So to all our listeners, if you're ready to start your own financial adventure,
I highly recommend checking out The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a quick read full of timeless advice.